got. Oh boy, Batman Beyond movie goes full female. Here we have No BS doing something stupid. I guess, are they making a Batman Beyond movie? When did this come out? July 9th? Let me see if I can look into this. Batman Beyond movie? That'd be rad if they're making a Batman Beyond movie. I'm a fan of Batman Beyond. Fan trailer. Riverdale stars to put their names forward to play DCEU's Batman Beyond. It doesn't seem like I can find any articles that are definitive about this. So is he just gonna bitch about something that isn't even like guaranteed to be true? Live action Batman Beyond film and development. This was a week ago. This is around the time. It looks like Terry McGinnis could join the DCEU very soon. I assume most of you know, but if you don't, Batman Beyond is a version of Batman that takes place in the future after Bruce Wayne has retired from being Batman. And this guy named Terry McGinnis comes in and works with elder Bruce Wayne to become the new Batman of future Gotham City. According to Griffin Schiller and backed up by insider Daniel Richman, a live-action Batman Beyond movie is in active development at Warner Brothers. The animated Batman Beyond series was created by Bruce Timm, Paul Dini, and Alan Burnett in 1999. The show served as a continuation of both Batman the Animated Series and the New Batman Adventures. It even went on to cross over with Justice League and Static Shock. I loved Static Shock as a kid. Developed as a continuation of the Batman legacy, the series saw an aged Bruce Wayne train a new hero, Terry McGinnis, to be the Batman of futuristic Gotham City. Batman Beyond has become a mainstay of the DC universe, even making its way into comic book canon. Fans have long asked for a live-action version of the series, and it looks like Warner Brothers has listened. Neither Warner Brothers nor DC have confirmed the film is in development, but it looks likely that it could officially be announced at DC Fandom. The project joins a long list of DC films in development at Warner Brothers, including Batgirl and Zatanna. Given Michael Keaton is reportedly in talks to return as Bruce Wayne in The Flash, it seems likely he will also reprise his role in this film. Keaton's new part in the DC universe is rumored to be similar to Nick Fury's in the MCU, as he would be a mentor to new heroes. However, it's still unknown who would play Terry McGinnis in the film. That would be cool. Let's see. I didn't see anything about a lady being new Batman, but let's see. No bullshit. Complain about this. Who cares?
And welcome back to No BS. Today we return to talking about woke comic book movies and how they're trying to erase all the popular male characters of our history. Specifically today we're talking about Batman again. Batman has come into the news recently because a number of new DC related comic
Oh yeah, I know the Surfs TV. I know you hang out with Jake. I actually haven't been able to catch your stream. I need to. I know. I'm sorry.
book themed superhero movies
I raided the other day, but then I got busy.
involving Batman have been getting announced over the
I've
summer.
heard
There's
great
a lot
things,
of talk
though.
about the Batman character. There's a number of actors returning to the role, and they're discussing different roles within different kinds of movies, and it's gotten a little out of hand, but it also is admittedly very exciting. I love Batman. Batman's been a great staple character in American pop culture for many years, and Batman, of course, deserves to get more.
Let's be clear. He's kind of rewriting history on Batman, and as someone who reads comics, I'm not the biggest DC person. I'm more of a Marvel fan than I am a DC fan, but I do own a decent bit of Batman comics, at least the classic ones like the Killing Joke and stuff. But Batman's legacy has been sort of an up and down throughout history, despite the fact that nowadays we see him as like the DC hero. For most of DC's history, Superman was the big character. Even up into the 60s, before the Batman TV show with Adam West, the comic was doing really, really poorly. They were considering canceling the Batman comic. Then the TV show came out, and it was really popular, and it helped boost Batman sales. And then for quite a while, of course, Batman was a punchline, because even though the Batman 60s series was a comedy, I mean, it won awards for comedy. It's trying to be campy, fun, silly comic book stuff, and I love the 66 TV show for what it is. That Batman became a punchline to people. Then, of course, you have the 1980s Batman with Michael Keaton. That kind of had a resurgence along with stuff like The Dark Knight Rises, which, of course, brought Batman sort of into a more gritty, like, realistic, violent space. Of course, that also resulted in a lot of what happened in comics in the 90s, but that's not the fault of the writer of The Dark Knight Rises. Anyway, of course, we get to nowadays when Batman is this huge hero, and everyone is aware of them as part of the DC universe. But to pretend that Batman has always been this #1 seller for DC is just not the case. Not true.
More credit, more movie roles, and all kinds of fun stuff. I'm down with that. But what people don't like and what's getting really annoying is the whole girl washing of Batman. The leftists have been trying to
Oh no! The girl washing of Batman. When was Batgirl first introduced? Hold on. Batgirl first appearance. April 1961. All these leftists girl washing Batman for the last 60 years. Calm down. Batgirl and Batwoman have been mainstays of the series for decades, for most of the series. So making a female bat person be a lead, I'd imagine it would be called maybe Batwoman Beyond. Or maybe they'd still call it Batman Beyond, although it'd be a little weird with a woman in the role. Who cares? Who the fuck cares?
Feminized Batman for a long time now, and they've actually succeeded in a number of ways. For example, Batwoman was a TV series that came out last year, and it basically was just a lady reboot of Batman. It's the same story.
Do you not know who Batwoman is? Batwoman is a character in the DC universe, and Warner Brothers doesn't want to make... I'd love if they made, like, also a Batman TV show, because I think that could be done really well nowadays with the budgets that TV shows get, especially if they did it on HBO Max, since they are doing so many partnerships and stuff with Warner Brothers. I don't know if they're owned by the same company or what, but this idea that Batman is being feminized because they're focusing on some of the female characters from Batman's lore is so stupid. Along with the Batwoman show, there's also Titans on the DC Universe app, which stars, among others, of course, of the Teen Titans. They have Nightwing, formerly Robin. There's 2 Robins on that show. So maybe back up a little bit and consider before you start making sweeping statements about the, quote, feminization of Batman. Batman is alive and well in the pop culture. Jesus.
Story. It's a rich person who lost their parents or family, and they put on the Batman suit and decide to fight crime and take matters into their own hands. But with this story, it's just basically they want to put a girl version of Batman out there, and they're doing it yet again with this new announcement. Today we're talking about a new project, a new movie that's in the works. They're possibly making a Batman Beyond movie, which is very exciting. People used to love the Batman Beyond cartoon show back in the 90s.
I'm pretty sure in the comics, Batman Beyond has been a woman, and not just any woman. I'm pretty sure Barbara Gordon became Batman Beyond for a while. Barbara Gordon, Batwoman Beyond? Barbara Gordon. Did she become Batwoman Beyond at some point? Maybe I'm thinking of a different person. Batwoman Beyond. The Batman doesn't even know the point exists, so there is a female... Oh, here it is. Batwoman Beyond just got fired with a perfect twist. This may be a spoiler. This is a spoiler for who Batwoman was in the comic. Just so everyone knows. Let's see. Who did it turn out to be? Dick is always adamant about the overprotective stance is that Elena. So it's Elena? Okay. Your father was raised by a man engulfed in tragedy. Bruce chained himself to a life devoid of peace and tranquility. Dick wants better for you. So it's... Apart from physical training, Barb can even aid her on the mental side as she knows how to tough it out with the Joker. Is it Barbara's daughter? Oh, Barbara is Elena's mentor. Okay, and Barbara, of course, was Batgirl and Oracle, if you are familiar with those characters.
I myself watched that a lot.
Anyway, so there, in the comics, there has been a Batwoman Beyond. It's not out of the Even if there wasn't, who the fuck cares, by the way? Who cares?
It was a lot of fun, but this new announcement does come with a caveat because despite them deciding to make a Batman Beyond movie, they're also deciding to rewrite it and make the new Batman a girl. They're making it a Batman Beyond girl. They're kind of doing a rendition of it. And
They would probably either they would call it Batman Beyond, and if they do that, there'll be a stupid line in the trailer that's like, you'll be, I don't know, they'll make some joke about it in the trailer, or they'll just call it Batwoman Beyond. And that'd be fine. Who cares?
And obviously, this is getting people a little upset, a little worried. Obviously, we don't hate females or girl Batmans at all either. Like, Batgirl is used to be cool. Batwoman in the comics was even cool. But the fact that they want to keep redoing...
Rail Roberto says, how about you shut your fucking leftist lie hole? Nah, I'm good. Welcome to the chat.
These male characters and girl washing them, that's what's really upsetting. So we're going to talk more about that today, go over the details and talk about why this is so silly and possibly seriously woke soon. But first, let's take a quick moment to check out our sponsor. When you see what's going on in our country right now, there's plenty of reason to be concerned. Clearly, social unrest is making life...
It's Dick Grayson's daughter. That makes a lot of sense.
Very uncomfortable, and it could quickly get worse too. And on top of that, a second wave of this terrible virus is threatening to devastate our economy.
I didn't know
and
where
our
that
way of
music
life.
was
Will
coming
we have
from
a
for a
severe
second.
food shortage once again this time? Will the supply chains get cut off if people can't work? What if you can't go to the grocery store anymore? These are all realistic dangers we should all be considering.
You called the Surfs TV says, I called the company that makes them and they didn't pick up.
Especially if you're not prepared and you're not stocked up on dry food like how I am. That's why I suggest you go to
Oh, I forgot this is what... And again, this isn't an ad hom attack, because this has nothing to do with the fact that he's wrong. He looks like Coke Bloat Sargon. You know what I mean? Look at him. I have nothing. I'm overweight. I get it. But, like, looks a little bit like Sargon.
Pair with nobs.com and start building up your emergency food supply right now. The experts at My Patriot Supply are the only people I use and trust, so now you can too by checking out our link and getting their great deals on this very excellent and delicious dry storage food. It'll last a very long time, and you're
Blah, blah, blah,
about
blah,
this.
blah. I don't
and
care
order
about
your
your
supply
weird
and
survivalist
get your great deals.
bullshit.
Also, thanks for your time, and now back to the show.
The thing, and this is off topic, but the thing I've noticed about preppers, by the way, is preppers will put a lot of stuff into, like, oh, I'm going to get all this dry food, and I'm going to have my go bag ready, and I'm going to get ready for the apocalypse by stocking up on guns, and it's like, you know, that's not how human society works, right? If there was, like, an apocalypse and some humans survived, the ones who survive are going to survive by, like, grouping together and working cooperatively. If anything, you're gonna be the bandit in like The Walking Dead or whatever, who walks up to the community that's doing well and destroys it because all you have are guns and dry food you went through in the first 6 months, but you have no social skills or ability to, like, group up with other people. So, like, if you're a prepper and you spend all your time getting guns and training for the apocalypse, you're probably training to be a bandit, is what I'm saying. So maybe stop. Maybe stop.
Great, now that that's out of the way, let's talk more about this Batman Beyond announcement. An article here from Comic Book News has more details. It says, Batman Beyond Michael Keaton movie sounds awful. So, not a very good reception from this website. And obviously, I think we feel the same way in a lot of ways. It's very troubling. It's very lame for them to kind of, we finally might get a Batman Beyond movie, but they have to make it a girl version. Like, why can't we make the real Batman Beyond?
Oh my god. I say this as someone who, I love Batman Beyond as a kid. Batman Beyond's fun. It's great. But, like, who cares? It's a movie? Does it matter to you? You already have 50 fucking Batman movies. They're making more this year. Do you really, really care that one of them is going to be female-led? Who the fuck cares? And they might just... It either could be just Terry McGinnis gender-swapped. I don't know. Tiffany McGinnis. And who would care if that's the case? It's fine. And or it could be someone else, like the person who's the Batman Beyond in the comics, who's a Batwoman Beyond, rather. So who cares? They're a fictional character, no BS. You can do whatever you want with them.
And like, why can't we do the original story? Which, for those who don't know, let's go and explain that. Basically, Batman Beyond was the spin-off show of Batman, and in this story, Bruce Wayne, the original Batman, has gotten much older. He's basically retired. He's too old to be Batman very much anymore, and he comes across a young person that basically becomes his apprentice and starts wearing the Batman.
See, as such a fan, shouldn't you know that that's not actually what happens? Terry McGinnis is getting beat up outside of Bruce Wayne's manor. Bruce Wayne shows up and beats up the thugs. Even though he's old, he still has, you know, sort of Dark Knight Rises old man Bruce Wayne strength and ability, so he can beat the thugs up. And then Terry, I'm pretty sure, steals the bat suit, and then after that convinces Bruce to allow him to be his apprentice. So, for such a true fan, you're kind of misrepresenting what happened.
Suit for him. So there's this new Batman in the future. He's trained by the old Batman, but it's a new kid. It's this young guy character. I forget his name. Like, I don't know a lot of the specifics. I haven't watched that show in forever, but
Andrew Dickerson says there isn't even any actual female-led Batman Beyond movie in the works. Even a male Batman Beyond movie hasn't been confirmed. Oh, I know. These people whine about stuff that doesn't even exist. That's why it's funny.
Did like it a lot back in the day. There were some great Batman cartoons back in the day. This was kind of like a spin-off of Batman the Animated Series, which is like classic, really, really good Batman on the cartoon scene. And that got turned into a Superman series, and then they made Justice League with the same kind of animation. And eventually Batman Beyond came around, and it was...
Terry is partially a clone. He's more of a son. They explain that in the episode of Justice League entitled Epilogue. Terry is a Cadmus clone that is more or less a son of Bruce, but not really. So, I don't like that, by the way. I don't like that he turns out to be, like, technically Bruce's son genetically. I'd rather he just be a random person. I think the fact that it's, like, Bruce Wayne's kid, even if it's not like his biological kid, or no, it is his biological kid, but he didn't actually like inseminate someone. It was made in a lab. I don't like that.
It's pretty cool. You know, it was like in the future, and it kind of had like a different version of the Batman.
It has shades of like biological essentialism. Like, oh, being Batman isn't a thing you can just be. It's a thing that Bruce Wayne and his family are, and I'm not a big fan of that.
It was more high tech, and it had like a, you know, robot characteristics to it. Like more technology was the thing with Batman Beyond, like futuristic kind of stuff.
Adios, Railberto. Better luck next channel.
And that was cool, but to see it come back with this kind of rendition is definitely very, very troubling and off-putting right off the gate. Now, I will admit there are some good signs here. Michael Keaton was a great Batman. He's a great choice to play the older Batman since, of course, this is Michael Keaton. He played Batman back in the 1989 movie and that sequel to that. So Batman and Batman Returns, this guy is coming back, and he was actually my kind of original movie Batman. I wasn't old enough to watch the TV show and those first original movies, so this was like my first Batman. It's Tim Burton's Batman, Michael Keaton coming back to train this young Batman Beyond. Could have been cool, but them making it a girl version, I mean, that's not necessarily bad on its own. Like we said, we don't hate...
Is Batman even fun anymore if I can't put a no girls allowed sign on it? Who the fuck cares? Who the fuck cares? It's just representation, it's fine. For one thing, most people, and let's be real here, as much as I like Batman Beyond, 99% of people in the world don't know who the fuck Terry McGinnis is. They don't care. They'll see a trailer that's a Batwoman or whatever in a futuristic world and Michael Keaton training her, and they'll be like, that looks pretty good. Because that's what most of the movie-going public thinks. They're like, that looks pretty cool. Alright. Most people don't know what Batman Beyond is. Like, it's fun to talk about, and the cartoon's great, but most people don't know what it is.
Girls or girl characters, but them girl-washing favorite male characters is always a bad sign, and it's also a good sign that this could be getting really woke. While Michael Keaton returning to...
Again, remember everyone, there are two genders, male and political.
in the Flash is super cool.
Or in this case, male and woke.
Batgirl rumored details for a Batman Beyond type flick sound less than stellar. It's claimed that a Batman Beyond movie will feature Michael Keaton training Barbara Gordon as Batgirl and not Terry McGinnis.
Following.
That's the original.
What is girl washing? Replacing a male character with a female character.
Batman Beyond, I believe. Recall how the report over at Deadline made mention that Michael Keaton would return as Batman in a Nick Fury-like mentor role, appearing in other DC movies with specific mention of Batgirl? Well, according to a YouTuber, Grace Randolph, Warner Brothers doesn't have intentions of making a strict adaptation of Batman Beyond's story, but there are ideas instead to use Batgirl. So this is kind of like a collaboration, like a combination, like they're going to make this Batman Beyond story, but they're also squeezing Batgirl in there, and they're trying to bring Michael Keaton in. And I think it just shows there's like a little bit of a thing where it's like too many cooks in the kitchen kind of thing. Like,
we could talk all day about Warner Brothers and their terrible decision making in terms of the DCEU. They've made like 2 good movies. Joker, which even then is carried entirely by Joaquin Phoenix's performance. The script itself isn't like great, and the directing's okay. And Shazam, which is just kind of fun. Every other DCEU movie is awful. And even the Joker movie is kind of its own thing. It's not really in the universe. So Warner Brothers makes a lot of bad decisions, but the fact that they're trying to do sort of a Batgirl Beyond a movie, in and of itself, isn't a terrible idea. It's all in the execution. The fact that it happens to be Batgirl Beyond, who cares? That's fun. That's a neat idea.
Too many chefs, like, kind of adding these elements together into this kind of mishmash that really, it sounds like it's going to go wrong. It's like too much going into this. Like, it's already a lot. The Batman
Daughter of Tiamat says, I still haven't seen Joker. It's okay. It's basically derivative of like Taxi Driver and shit like that. It really didn't need to be a Joker movie at all. It could have just been a character study about like some crazy guy. It just so happens in the end he turns into the Joker from Batman, sort of, even though he acts a little bit different. I mean, it's entirely carried by the performance. You can watch it, but I don't think you're missing out on any life-changing experience if you don't see Joker.
Batman Beyond story is already kind of like a side story, and it's got a kind of extended premise of its own. You got an old aging Batman training a young one. You've got futuristic technology. There's a time jump, all that kind of stuff. So with that in mind, like, to switch in and try to bring the girl stuff in, girl power, to try to make this new dynamic too, because the other thing that there's a lot of differences here. Like, for example, like Batman Beyond is more like a father-son relationship. Like, basically older Batman adopts this new kind of Batman in a lot of ways.
Okay, but why couldn't you do that as like a father-daughter relationship? You could do something very similar there. Why is that any less valid than what's going on with Terry McGinnis and Bruce?
Now, I'm not sure that's official, but, you know, it's like a fatherly kind of role. So to kind of have it in a different way, like a father and a daughter, is just a different kind of relationship. Nothing wrong with that, but I'm just noting it to show that it's really fundamentally changing the whole project. And it makes for a different...
It really isn't. Nothing is fundamentally changed. Some stuff will change in the script, but it really doesn't matter. If they made her Tanya McGinnis, it could be the exact same movie almost. Wouldn't matter.
Kind of tone, you know, it's like fathers raise sons different than daughters, and I know that might sound offensive in this day and age. I know we're not allowed to acknowledge the reality of the fact that we have 2 genders and stuff like that, but that...
No one's asking you to say that there are no differences between genders, however many there might be. But to say that you should raise your daughters inherently differently than sons is a little weird and kind of backward. A lot of problems, I think, especially with people like this No BS guy, is I don't think they were really forced to mature by their parents. We hear the phrase, boys will be boys, a lot when boys get into trouble, but girls, of course, aren't given that same leniency. So it seems to me, I don't know, no bullshit could have been told no a few more times in his childhood, and it may have made him a better person. I don't know.
That's the truth. That's what we're dealing with, and that's another reason why this project is really fundamentally changing the Batman Beyond premise. Batgirl replacing Terry McGinnis in Batman.
Terry is a gender-neutral name, so it could just be Terry McGinnis, but it's like a woman who's Terry. Still, I like Tanya McGinnis, especially because it would make him mad.
Batman Beyond. Maybe someday, years from now, Warner Brothers might make the futuristic Batman Beyond movie so many of you crave. As for what they are planning right now, again, if Michael Keaton says yes, he won't train Terry McGinnis, he'll train Barbara Gordon. Worth a mention is that the Batgirl script was written by Christina Hodson, who was in part responsible for the disaster known as Birds of Prey. So it appears there are certain execs at...
I wasn't the biggest fan of Birds of Prey, but the problem wasn't with the script or anything. That was an advertising thing, and the fact that it came after so many bad DCEU films. It was connected to Suicide Squad, and Suicide Squad was fucking terrible. So no one wanted to be a part of it. In terms of paying money to go sit in a theater and see something connected to Suicide Squad. I thought the movie was okay. It was fine. It was a little messy in terms of, like, I know they were trying to do, like, an out-of-order script, but, like, they only kind of become the Birds of Prey at the very end, and even then, it's like, I don't know. I thought it was an okay movie. It's in the top 80% of the DCEU movies, but that's not saying a lot, to be honest.
WB who think replacing Terry McGinnis with Batgirl is a good idea. Grace even says that Batgirl could wear the Batman Beyond suit and be sort of like DC's Iron Man or Rescue, which is laughable. Yeah, it's already sounding bad. They are mentioning the Batman Beyond suit, which is a lot more like the Iron Man suit. Now, it's kind of like nowadays it doesn't seem like as big a difference because Batman's suit in the newer movies has gotten to a point where he's almost like robotic, like the kind of, Iron Man suit. I mean, especially...
Are you specifically referencing the one from Batman v Superman? Because that's a takeoff of Dark Knight Returns. That's a takeoff of... the armor from The Dark Knight Returns. So in Batman v Superman, if you wondered why Batman has this weird armor on, it's because it's from a comic book. This is from the animated movie, but it looks similar. It's armor that Batman builds to fight Batman. Again, if you're such a fan, shouldn't you know this? No BS? Shouldn't you understand what the armor was and why it looked the way it did? Even though, again, see, there you go. There's a picture from the movie. Even though The Dark Knight Returns predates the popularization of Iron Man, that's why it looks like that. Not because of Iron Man.
Actually, in Batman v Superman, he puts on that super suit of armor, but that's just like a one-time thing.
Is Hannah replacing Rich Evans? No one can replace Rich Evans. He's a national treasure.
Typically, Batman has just like a bulletproof, rubbery suit, the cowl and the cape, and he uses like more standard gadgets like grappling hooks, bat wings, and stuff like that. So Batman Beyond goes to the next level. Like, his suit can fly. Like, it is like an Iron Man suit. Like, he has little rockets in it, and he uses more like electronic gadgets. Like I said, from what I can remember, I haven't seen the show in probably over a decade, but now I kind of want to rewatch it. But it's really just going to make me sad when we realize that they're going to ruin it with this Batgirl stuff. And as this article says, it is pretty laughable. It's like the girl version, and they're trying to make it cool and be like Iron Man. And it really kind of reminds me of what they did with Iron Man, what happened in...
Regardless of the gender of whoever is playing Batman, Batwoman, Beyond, who cares? I can absolutely see someone trying to pitch Warner Brothers executives Batman Beyond and being like, oh, it was the show in the 90s and early 2000s, and it was this, and that, and they showed them a little bit of it, and they went, this looks a lot like Iron Man. This can be our Iron Man. And the person's going, well, no. It's quite a bit different from Iron Man, actually. Here, no. Look, he can fly like Iron Man. It's Iron Man, but Batman. I can see Warner Brothers execs being that out of touch and not understanding their own properties, but that has nothing to do with the gender of the star. Who cares?
Avengers Endgame, they put Iron Man's wife in the suit. It was played by Gwyneth Paltrow, of course, and she got into the super suit. She didn't do bad. Like, she's actually pretty hot and pretty, like,
Why the fuck? And again, I hate this when these people think they're complimenting the actress by being like, she was actually pretty hot in the super suit. Like, It's a fucking battle armor. What are you talking about? It's not, like, sexually dimorphic. Why the fuck are you sexually attracted to an Iron Man suit? Stop.
Fit, but it just seemed awkward to me. Like a lot of the moments in the end game where they brought all the girls together and had this like girl power moment in the middle of this big battle for no reason. Like if that's what DC's going for, it's definitely going to be a no for me. It's definitely going to be a thumbs down. Randolph agrees and thinks a Batman Beyond Batgirl movie with Michael Keaton is a bad idea as it takes away a lot from the character. This is a little frustrating to me, Grace says. First, Batgirl got birds of prey taken away from her, and now she's going to get trained by Bruce Wayne. In the comics, Bruce Wayne doesn't even want her to be Batgirl. She has to do it herself. She's not wanted. She has to prove herself. She's a real self-starter. And I'm a little frustrated that it's taken away from her. So annoying. Next, she won't get shot. What's happening here? Yeah, it's basically, this is the other side that's problematic. The whole Batgirl character is really getting changed for the worse, too. We already talked a
Oh my goodness.
lot about Batman Beyond and how he trains this newcomer, this McGinnis guy. But this is also going to be very disrespectful and not accurate to the Batgirl character. Like,
Oh my god. Stop with the... Actually... Oh, I gotta get the glasses. These are the Bones glasses and the actually glasses now. Actually, Barbara Gordon in, The Killing Joke, was, she was, shot in the spine by the Joker. Well, her father, Commissioner Gordon, was forced to watch while strapped into a ride at Amusement Mile by the Joker. Actually, even though that was an, DC Elseworlds book, they ended up making that, a canon after Crisis on Infinite Earth. No one cares. No one fucking cares about your precious canon. No one gives a fuck.
Grace mentions here how she gets shot. Like eventually there's a moment where Batgirl gets shot and paralyzed. But this is after years of being Batgirl and training herself and kind of like joining Batman in the fights in the streets, but not being like officially wanted. Like it's not like a Robin situation. Batman's normal assistant is Robin, who's another person that he kind of adopts and brings up and trains and makes his partner. But Batgirl never was that situation. And to put her into this whole Batman Beyond premise is really just rewriting the character. It's not even Batgirl anymore. It's just...
Who cares? Who cares? I imagine no bullshit, for instance, like the Joker movie. Seems like his cup of tea. That had almost no basis in any sort of canon, right? Almost nothing that happens in Joker has a basis in the comics. Some of the stuff you can argue as, like, references, like he's a stand-up comedian. You can argue that's sort of a reference to the fact that the original Joker from the Golden Age started as a failed stand-up comedian and then became a criminal. You can also talk about stuff in The Killing Joke and how it references stuff like that. But, like, the idea of him being Arthur Curry, who lives with his mom, and she thinks that he's Thomas Wayne's son, none of that has any basis in canon. It's still a good movie. I don't care how closely something sticks to canon. The Batman movie you referenced earlier, the Michael Keaton movie, deviates a ton from canon. That version of Batman murders people. That version of the Joker gets killed at the end of that movie. That version of the Joker follows sort of closely to the Killing Joke in that he gets thrown in a vat of acid by Batman, but it's a little bit different. You actually know his name is Jack Napier. They also have, of course, in the Tim Burton Batman movie, the Joker killing Thomas and Martha Wayne, which isn't a thing in the comics. So, like, movies can be good or bad on their own merits. It has nothing to do with how close they stick to canon. Like, Iron Man, people often misattribute and say, like, oh, Iron Man was so good because it was, like, so close to, like, comic books or whatever. No, Iron Man was, like, a sensation because it was a good movie. Because it was a movie that stood on the performance of Robert Downey Jr. and the directing of Happy Hogan, whose name I'm forgetting. Sorry, he did The Mandalorian too. He's a good director. Jon Favreau. That's what it is. Nobody knew who the fuck, outside of comic book fans, knew who Iron Man was before that movie. So its canon didn't matter. It was a good movie on its own. The same thing will apply if they decide to do this Batwoman, Batgirl Beyond movie, whatever. It'll stand on its own if it's good, and if it doesn't, it won't. Canon, get fucked.
The name, it's Barbara Gordon, which happens to be, Commissioner Gordon's daughter. But aside from that, there's nothing really resembling Batgirl.
Arthur Curry? What did I say? His name is Arthur Fleck. Sorry. I said Arthur Curry, which is Aquaman. I meant Arthur Fleck. My bad.
It's Batman Beyond Girl, and that's just a whole new character. So they're making this whole new thing, which kind of makes you wonder. It's like, why even call it Batman Beyond or call it Batgirl? I mean, this is just a whole new thing. It's a whole new dynamic, and it's...
Yeah. For one thing, all this is rumor. If it does happen, who cares?
Just, I think they're doing it for the wrong reasons. And as the...
A studio's making decisions that they think will make them money? Wait a minute. That's not how it's supposed to work. Welcome to capitalism. Glad you realized where you are.
This also mentioned, we got to drop some more references to Birds of Prey. Anything related to Birds of Prey, like the fact that they're using a similar writer and this kind of girl power premise coming from DC, after Birds of Prey just failed so bad at the...
That wasn't an issue with the writing of Birds of Prey. Birds of Prey, again, was in probably the top 80, 90% of DCEU movies. Most of them have been really, really bad. The issue was that people saw it and went, is this like a sequel to Suicide Squad? Oh, that movie was really bad. No, thank you.
The beginning of this year. I mean, them trying to go for...
Also, most DCEU movies are really bad. Most of them are.
That, again, is just mind-boggling. I mean, it's like, are you even trying? Like, do you want to make money? Do you want the fans to be happy? Because no one liked that Birds of Prey crap. No one likes what this is going to be. This is like a bad mishmash of two different premises that's totally obviously getting woke. I mean, why else would they change it to a girl? Like, if you're going to make Batman Beyond, make Batman Beyond. If you're going to switch it to a girl, then just call it Batgirl, call it something else. Like, have an older Bruce Wayne train Batgirl or a new Batgirl. It doesn't have to be Barbara Gordon. Like, there's 100 ways this could go, and obviously they're going with the cheapest, most exploitative way. They're trying to get the both things at the same time. They're trying to have their cake and eat it too, and I think they're going to fall flat on their face once again. That about wraps things up. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Comment your thoughts on Batman, this Batman Beyond premise, and other things related to this comic book wave. Comment all that below.
All right, so that's going to be it for today for Chud Watch. Thanks, everyone, for coming. In the, oh, wrong link. In the chat, I'm going to put the link to my YouTube channel. This is where I archive highlights and full streams. Right after this stream ends, I'm going to cut out all the different sections and videos that I talked about, and they'll be posted as soon as they can on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe there if you'd like. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers over there so I can monetize videos. If you haven't already and this is your first stream, thank you for coming. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give me a follow so you can check out streams in the future or whatevs. If not, thanks for coming anyway. I really appreciate it.